Hello, this is Tiarra Earls, co-host of the Goddess Vibration podcast. And in this video, I do want to talk a little bit about the significance and the importance of community, especially if you are on a spiritual healing journey of some sort, because I feel like in the spiritual space and even in the New Age community, this whole concept about working together and supporting each other and uplifting each other sort of gets lost because I'm going to be honest with you. The spiritual journey is not an easy journey, and having a supportive community is so important. So please sit back, relax, and tune in because I've got a lot to share. Before I dive into this topic, if you haven't found this already, please do check out our podcast, The Goddess Vibration, which you can find on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. And we also do upload our audio episodes here to YouTube. So please do give us a like. And if this is the type of stuff that you like to listen to, or if you're interested in learning more about spirituality, or if you're on a spiritual journey, please do consider liking and subscribing this channel because it does help get us in front of the people who need to see the messages most. The interesting thing about humans is that our ancestors were a very agrarian species. Like in the past, we existed in tribes and in packs and in groups because the theory goes that people are better and stronger and more effective if they work together as a team. And honestly, that does make a lot of sense. So when you have that type of living structure and you're collectivists and you're working together, a lot of things are just so much easier. Like you guys are able to do things like share tasks and help with raising the children together and come together when it comes to responsibilities like cooking and cleaning and growing fruits and vegetables. And there's sort of like this aspect of, connectedness. And even in those type of tribes, you would also see the impact and the power of stories and storytelling because it was a great way to pass on wisdom and pass on knowledge. So there's a lot of benefit that comes with having a community and being part of one. And it's so unfortunate that here in the West and also in the United States, we have lost the art of connectedness. We have lost that beauty when it comes to working together as a team and existing in communities. And we, for the most part, exist as individuals and operate from a very individualistic mindset. So when you exist in a society that's very individualistic, it's almost like every man for himself, right? Like it's like you got to do what you can to survive. You got to, work, and then you also have to make sure you've got a roof over your head, that you're getting your food and all the things that you need to live. And unfortunately, today in 2025, so many people are exhausted and burnt out because of the weight of the responsibility of trying to survive in a society that makes it so difficult. And how much easier would it be if we existed in communities instead? So, what exactly is a community? Essentially, a community is just a group of individuals or a group of people who have decided to come together or work together or exist together as a fellowship because they have some type of shared values or shared beliefs, or because they just feel like existing together collectively is just easier than existing individually. And you see this in places like churches and communes, and the same concept applies. It's that there are people that are coming together with a shared goal or shared beliefs, and they feel that together they can uplift each other and support each other, and that they're stronger as a group. So when we started this podcast, we didn't really consider the community aspect of it. We sort of started because we had stories to share. So myself and Allie are both on spiritual journeys. Allie's my co-host. She's going to come up later in this video. And our journeys have been very interesting. They've been very unique. We've had some very profound experiences, and we've learned a lot along the way. And one of the things that we began to learn as we started doing the podcast, started posting and updating our episodes consistently, is hey, I don't know that I would be this far along in this journey if I hadn't had support of another individual, or if I hadn't had the support of you, because we do talk about how we supported each other on this journey. And Allie had support from other individuals for her. I had her support. So it kind of started to make sense that if you're on this type of journey, support is pretty important. Now, look, spiritual journey isn't easy. I said that earlier. It's not for the faint of heart, especially if you're getting to that phase of your journey where you're starting to look at your shadows. That stuff is so tricky, and it's not really something you can navigate by yourself. Now, I know that existing in a very individualistic society, you kind of feel obligated to do everything by yourself. And if you're like I was, you don't even like asking for help. Like for me, asking for help was such a hard thing. It was like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself, because if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right. And then I'm going to be disappointed. And then I'm going to be angry. And then I'm going to blame you. So, you know what? Just let me do it myself. And honestly, that type of hyper independence can be a trauma response. And we do talk about that in one of our podcast episodes. Please go check it out. Now, we've also talked about how love and light honestly isn't enough if you're trying to ascend or raise your vibration or reach higher states of consciousness. Unfortunately, it's just not enough, because when you focus on the love and light only, you neglect the shadow aspect of the self. And we exist as dual individuals. You can't have light without shadow. You can't have shadow without light. So why would you think that you can navigate a journey with one or the other? So we do emphasize that if you're getting to that phase of your journey where maybe you're stuck, or maybe you're stagnant, or maybe you want something to help you reach that next level, or you're like at a plateau and you're like, hey, I know that there's so much more I could probably be doing here. I just don't know what direction to go. We decided to create a community or a space exactly for that purpose. Now, when it comes to healing, having the perspective of another individual, or that second or third person perspective, can really be impactful, because obviously as individuals, we have our blind spots. We don't necessarily have self-awareness to know when we're participating in some type of activity, or acting upon specific wounding, or acting in a way that's harmful or hurtful to others or ourselves. And sometimes it just takes another person to look at you and point that out and say, hey, you keep running, and you're not going to get anywhere if you keep running. I don't know if you know that you're running, but you're running from this, and you should stop that. You should stop that. So that's essentially why we created this community. We wanted it to be a space where we can help each other, and even help you get to that next stage of your evolution by pointing out the things that perhaps you don't see, because you're not going to be able to see everything. You're not perfect. You don't have all the answers. Sometimes it just takes another set of eyes, and that's normal. That's normal. So the community we created is called the Higher Vibe Tribe. And it's a space where you can take advantage of myself and Allie, and you can also take advantage of some of the tools and resources that are actually there. So we have all kinds of things that are meant to help guide you in the right direction and help you make sense of some of the things you might be experiencing. In addition to that, we do also have the podcast, and we're already in season 2. We're going to be going in season 3 this year, and there's already 50 plus episodes of content that has so much valuable information that you can use for your journey. So that resource is also available. But this space is just a little bit different. You know, we wanted it to be a place for soul tribe or soul family. And if you decide that you want to participate at one of the higher tiers, because there's two tiers, the higher tier actually has access to channeled messages and generalized tarot readings from yours truly. Yes, yours truly. The great thing about the channeled messages that we do is that we have a specific set of entities that we refer to as the guides who have actually volunteered to be a part of this community to help people get to that next stage of their evolution. And they really want to be a part of this community. So we have gods, goddesses, other divine beings like archangels as part of this community as well. And we actually did a channeled message video where some of those entities came through and introduced themselves. So please do go check that out if you haven't. So really sit back and kind of think about what you need to be successful in this journey. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's going to take a lot more than love and light. There are lots of fantastic tools in that love and light space, like meditation and chakra work and energy work. And all those things are great, but those are tools. And the deeper reflective healing is done when you get to that shadow work side of it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Allie O'Shea, and I am the co-host of the Goddess Vibration podcast, as well as co-founder of the Higher Vibe Tribe on Patreon. And I just wanted to come on today and introduce myself and give you a little tidbit about my spiritual journey and how that led into our podcast and is now ever evolving into a self-help spiritual community. So for me personally, I have always been on the spiritual journey, just having grown up in a very spiritual and holistic household. My mother was a very spiritual woman. She was very connected and intrigued and curious about things outside of our physical world. So I would say that I'm very fortunate to have grown up in that environment. And I would say through their teachings, I really forged a different path in life. I mean, I've done both. I have, I did the school path and going to college and getting a degree and entering corporate America. I worked in financial banking. I also worked in property management. And there was always something missing in my life, very yearning. I've always been very passionate and curious about travel. And I have had it ever since I was a very young girl. And as a result of that, I really pioneered my own life to be able to create freedom so I could be able to travel. And I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do it or how long I was going to travel for, but the opportunity finally arose back in 2015, 10 years ago now, and I jumped on it and I took it. And that led me on a 10-year journey of traveling the world. I've been to 60 countries, 6 continents, and I have learned and grown so much from all of those experiences. And I would say about 5 years ago, my spiritual gifts really kicked in, and I've always been highly intuitive. Like that's always been a part of my essence. But my spiritual gifts include channeling. I learned tarot, which many people have today, which is amazing. I also can divinate. I can dowse with a pendulum. Divination is a beautiful and wonderful tool to extract information, get information. However, it is not 100% accurate. So please do take it with a grain of salt. Nothing will ever replace your intuition and your instinct. But because I forged a different path in life, I would say that because of that, I was able to create freedom and I was able to live from a very authentic place and have peace in my life, because I went from a very hectic childhood to a lot of trials and tribulations, and also just a lot of confusion about myself and where I was headed, who I was as a person, where I came from. And as a result of that, I just felt very lost at some point in my life. And I found myself through traveling and meeting all these remarkable people and these inspiring people who made me want to be a better person and made me actually appreciate the life that I have and the opportunities that I have. Because I feel like with everything going on, we actually take it for granted. And if we don't really expand our reach or expand our consciousness or get out there and see the world, then we don't know any better. We don't know what else is out there. And through all of this, I have a lot of experiences to share. And that's kind of when the podcast came into play with my best friend who we met 10 years ago, Tiarra Earls. Hi, Tiarra. Uh, and because we both have very unique spiritual journeys, but our souls have also intertwined through past incarnations, we decided we have such a strong bond and we have so much knowledge to share. Why not start a podcast? And so I would say that that's how the podcast came into fruition. And then through the podcast, we were meeting people who were listening to the podcast and sending us requests. And through that, we were just kind of like, well, maybe we can start an online community. And so we found the platform on Patreon and we launched and opened a self-help spiritual community where we have Q&A sessions. We offer channeling sessions. We also offer general tarot readings. Tiarra is like an avid tarot reader. So she likes to do tarot readings for the collective. And then if she resonates, if her energy resonates with you, then you can book personalized readings with her. So I just wanted to come on and introduce myself and kind of give you a little backstory of my life and how I got to where I am today. So thank you so much for checking out this YouTube video. Please like, subscribe, or comment. All three would actually be great. And then please also check us out on Patreon. Thank you so much, and I will hand it over to Tiarra.
So I hope this clarifies our spiritual community. Again, it's called the Higher Vibe Tribe, which you can find at www.patreon.com/Vibe Higher, or you can go to our website, www.goddessvibrationstudio.com, and there's actually a direct link to the community from there. And you also get 7 days for free. So you can actually just join, look around, and decide if it's a space that you even want to be in or participate in, because we know that we don't resonate with everyone. We're not everybody's cup of tea. Most of the stuff we say kind of goes against the grain when it comes to traditional New Age stuff. So we're not going to be for everyone, and that's completely fine. So that's why we created a space that includes those 7 days to try for free so that you can decide whether you'd like to stick around for longer. But we hope that you do.